Today is February 16th, 2021. I just got out of the hospital. I got here because I uncovered a dark secret at the mall I worked at. I made a post about it, and I've dreaded for my safety each day since. When I posted that account of what I saw, I wasn't trying to put anyone in jeopardy. I only wanted people to be aware of the Parmatown cult. I was trying to make sure people stayed away from Parmatown, so they didn't become the next victim of their cult. Well, while reading the newspaper one day, I found out that Parmatown Mall was gone. It had been demolished back in 2018 to make way for a hotel. So not long after I discovered the cult, I wondered if that was a coincidence or not. Upon my discharge, the first thing I did was get my laptop back and head to a cafe, log onto the Wi-Fi, and check to see if anyone had replied to my story. I found that most of them were the usual thing you'd find on a post like this. Haha, great story. Bro, I went to Parmatown, what the fuck? Clearly fake. Oh, a cult story, how original. Pretty good, but a lot of plot holes. I was slightly discouraged. After all, I had put my life in danger for this post. 12 pages of comments and nobody was taking this seriously. I was about to give up hope when I noticed I had an email titled Parmatown. I checked the date and saw it was only a few days old, so I figured the sender would likely reply. I opened it up and read, "Alan, I saw your post about Parmatown. I felt it was safer to email you privately instead of posting it so it didn't get swallowed. I thought I was the only one who knew about the town hall, and I'm so glad someone else has seen them. I know how they started. I know who they are. I can tell you more if you'd like. Email me back. Michaela." Heart pounding, I rattled off a reply email. "Michaela, hello. I realize it's a few days, but I would love to hear more about your experience with the Parmatown cult. Alan." 2 days went by before she replied. 2 long, tedious days. In that time, I found out a few more things about Parmatown's fate. They were mostly basic stuff the public would know, like that the mall had been losing stores for years, deep financial issues, and all that. I suppose with the murder of employees, yes, they would be losing money. But with enough digging, I found 2 details that I was certain related to the cult. Number 1. Robert Palmer III died mysteriously in the fall of 2019. The obituary said he'd been standing in the lobby of the May Hotel, which I found out was the hotel that had been built over Parmatown, when he just sighed, said the words, "The town will go on," and just fell over, stiff as a board. Doctors couldn't figure out what caused it, so it was ruled as a heart attack, but I could tell it wasn't. Number 2, the Palmer police had a missing person report for Mitchell Chaplin. He wasn't alone. From 2011 to 2017, there were 29 reports, all in some way tied back to Parmatown, whether it be belongings found at the mall, last being seen at the mall. The mall was mentioned in each of them. As I was checking my emails, I noticed I had a reply from Michaela, and oh boy, was it a long one. "Alan, okay, here goes nothing. The town hall, or as you called them, the Parmatown cult, was created in 1997 when Robert Palmer II, yes the second, made a deal with some voodoo temple called Mala Frazetta, which means giver of eternity in some ancient language. I forgot exactly which one. The story was that his business manager, whose name I forgot, was a practitioner of Zeta and proposed the idea to Robert to keep them all alive. Robert agreed, and the initial plan was to get the 10 members of the board as their initial test. The way this magic worked, in practice at least, was that if a member broke their bond, which from what you described was a store closing, then the person tied to that bond must be sacrificed. The initial 10, needless to say, failed, and Robert sacrificed them in the customary way. 3 stabs to the heart, 1 for each point of the slogan. Heart of town, only part of town, my Parmatown. Once the 10 were dead, Robert tried to back out, said that he'd go to the police and claim that he had been forced at gunpoint by the business manager to kill those people. Well, that didn't work. Robert was found dead in the food court, stabbed through the chest like the other victims. The business manager began calling himself Robert Palmer III at this point. This was in 2002. If you're old enough to remember, the mall went through a redo at that point. Remember the tile compasses they had on the floor? That was installed by the cult. Either they had someone on the construction team who was a member, or they installed it after. I don't remember. I worked at Parmatown in 2002, the year of the redo. It was also this year that the cult switched to store managers as opposed to board members. I worked at Sears, which had closed at that time. One day before going home, my manager told all of us that we were going to the center court for a surprise. They told us it was a closing night party for the store. When we got there, we found the cult waiting for us. All of the store managers, hoods on, gathered around the compass. I remember the business manager standing at the north point, wearing the hat he'd taken from Robert. The top hat that read, "It's my town." I assume you've read about Soviet POW mass executions in history class, how they were all lined up and shot. It was like that. The business manager recited something about doing our part to the town, and then pulled out his cane. I remember the blades flying from the end, shot like darts. Each of us were hit with 3 blades. Some tried to flee, but were hit anyway. I don't remember how I survived. I think it was just the way the blades went in or something, but I remember opening my eyes and seeing the court bathed in blood. Every single cult member was tracing the words, "The town is pleased, the town will live," in each puddle of spilled blood. Like you, by some miracle I was able to slip under a store grate. Then, the bodies disappeared. I don't mean they were carried out of the door, I mean they literally dissolved into the floor. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but I was seeing it. Once they were all gone, the manager stepped forth, raised his arms and declared, "Well done, your town is pleased. Remember, serve your town so you may prosper." Shortly after I passed out and, like you, woke up in a hospital. Are you still in the area? If you are, please email me back so we can meet up. I have some documents relating to the cult I don't feel comfortable sending via email in case they're watching this address. Michaela. Holy shit. I knew this cult had killed people, but an entire store's worth at once. That just furthered my determination to expose this cult. I thought it over for a while and responded. Said I was in town and that I'd love to see the documents. That was a few days ago. I'm heading out now to meet up with her. Maybe these documents will bring people's attention to this horrible group. Maybe the families of the victims will finally have peace. If not, there's probably another way to make the public aware of the Parmatown cult.